Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday morning, and welcome to Liz Live, the newer, improved, I hope, newer and improved live Saturday morning show. And I'm going to start making that commitment to show up on a consistent basis so people can watch and count on a certain time, and then of course you can always watch it afterwards. So if this is your first time, if you never watched me before, welcome. My name is Elizabeth Statlander, and I am a marriage and family therapist and mental health counselor, and I've been in private practice I've been practicing in the mental health field for over 17 years. So I've had a lot of different experiences. I work with a lot of different types of cases, and anybody who needs a little guidance or help getting through life at any time is my client. There's no specific qualifications you have to have. It's just somebody who values inner growth and who wants to learn how to manage their life in a way that's calm, grounded, and unurgent. Which leads us to today's topic. Today I'm going to be talking about fear, fear-based psychology, and fear that is all around us all the time. And I think this is something that certainly everybody experiences, fear. I mean, it's part of the human system. It's part of being alive. It's part of the contrast that helps us understand calm, grounded, relaxed living versus highly activated, fearful living. And unfortunately, we're all stuck in that fearful living place. And for probably most of us at any particular moment, fear is running the show. Fear is running our lives. And I would say it's probably the biggest issue for human beings is how to navigate fear. Fear around relationships, health, money, life in general, you name it, fear is everywhere. And what made me decide to really choose this topic for this morning's show is that I'm realizing from my clients and just being alive and being online and being an active human being who's alive right now, people seem to be in a collective fear. Fear, I hear everything from, the world ending to things are so terrible, everything is so crazy, I don't know what's going to happen to my life. And it probably on some level is being exacerbated by fear-based psychology, which is, I think, intentionally used by the media, TV news, headlines, internet news, and social media. They all sort of, these big collectives, like the media being a collective, television news being a collective, they understand human behavior. And they understand, make no mistake, that if they scare us and they keep us in a state of fear, then we're going to keep tuning in, reading, watching, sharing, etc., etc. So what I want to do today is put light on this pattern going on around you so that you can see it from the outside instead of being in it all the time. And most people come to therapy because they're afraid of something, right? They feel out of control in their lives. Maybe a relationship is going bad or work's going bad, so they fear, how am I going to handle this? How am I going to survive? And so I believe that fear is sort of this motivating emotion or state of being that, yes, to some degree, to a large degree, it is created by the outlets collectively. But when we're inside of it, we don't understand that we have a choice. We can stay in it or we can actually step out of it. And what keeps us from stepping out of the fear is fear teaches us, the human nervous system says, if I don't react and I don't do something right now and I don't react with some kind of urgency, I won't survive. And if you really sit back and think about it, that's underneath everything. And I'm going to give you a couple real life examples to kind of demonstrate how fear is at work in our collective society and how we can step out and witness the fear rather than being stuck inside of it and constantly reacting to it. And you can apply what I'm discussing today to literally any situation in today's world, or even 20 years in the future, or if we were living 20 years behind. This is something that never really changes because it's part of human biology and physiology. It's the way that we are kind of wired, and we are wired to survive. Make no mistake about it. We are wired to survive. And our nervous system, which we all have, is kind of, if you will, it's the bridge between the outside and the inside worlds. So what we see around us and then how we feel on the inside, the nervous system is like that bridge, that translator. And when our nervous system is being constantly activated, survive, 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 activate, 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 human beings go into a state of panic and a state of fear. And this can happen from something as small as, oh my God, I have a cold. How will it get worse? It could be really serious, something that's small, or it could be on a grand scale, like the state of the world. And no matter how you shake this out, the pattern remains. So I want to kind of shine light, wake people up, take a look at this collective fear so that you can then see the pattern, step out of the pattern, clear that nervous system, because our nervous systems definitely have a mind of its own, understand that, and then become the witness. And when we step out and become the witness, life completely changes. And I speak from experience. This was something that, even though I'm a therapist, I didn't truly, totally understand it until I went through adjusting my nervous system and really working at it, and then learning how to share that with my clients. And I can tell you my life is totally different, completely different. I was running on fear without even realizing it for most of my life until about 6 months ago, really. And I do this for a living. So there's no shame, you're not behind. It's something that has to be taught, and it's something that has to be developed over time. So I hope I can help you do that today. Okay, so let's talk about fear. Where is it coming from? It can come from anything, literally, okay? Where I see it hitting people today is obviously through the media and the internet, social media. So the headlines, I used to work in the TV news business. So I was a journalist for a while before I even went to graduate school and became a therapist. I worked in both news media and in politics. So I have live experience, real experience in both of those outlets. And one of the first things I learned when I worked in the news business is the lead must bleed, okay? So when you look at headlines and you look at TV news and the, what do we used to call it? I can't remember, there's a name for it. But when you advertise what's coming up, there's a name for that in the news business, it's escaping me. But you're giving these little updates, and it's always something to scare you, right? Terror in the city today, or, big government agencies, terrifying people. I mean, you can't, it's everywhere. And I'm not denying reality, and I'm not saying that these things don't exist or aren't happening. I'm just saying that it's a pattern that the media uses. And when I say the media, I mean internet, social media, news media, all of it, collectively uses to scare us. And once they scare us and they keep us in a state of fear, they own us. That which you fear owns you. And it sucks you in like a vacuum, and you're constantly reacting, sharing. Oh my God, look at this story I saw today. The world's really getting bad, or whatever. And once you start looking at a particular algorithm, I mean, everybody knows this now. It just mirrors more and more and more of it. So, for example, you could let's say you watch a headline on the news that says, hate all purple people. Okay, let's just pretend. Purple people are bad. They're taking over the city. They're, planning terror, whatever. Just say. And so then you go to your phone and you type in, purple people are scary. So now your algorithm is going to feed you for who knows how long about how scary the purple people are, even if the purple people are harmless. They could just be a couple of kids on a street corner, with a protest sign, or it could be anything. So we are being completely hijacked and tracked by the media at large, by social media, by politicians, by all of the outside world. So it's important that we wake up to this, because once you wake up to this, it doesn't own you anymore. You can look at the algorithms that you're being fed on Facebook or Instagram, and you can just be like, oh, okay, here we go. I mean, just try it for an example. Type in, I like to eat apples in Facebook, and just watch how your algorithm is going to be full of things about apples and fruit and eating healthy. And, so we're being manipulated. And I don't mean that in a conspiracy theory type of way. I just mean, let's wake up to it. Because when you wake up to it and you stop feeding it, then what they do, what the world does to keep viewers and sell stories and keep us hooked, isn't there anymore. But it has to come from us. And it's not going to come from us until we get a hold of our nervous system and we can step outside and we can see what's happening. And I notice it's even happening in texts that I get from retail stores. So the other day, I was just peacefully sitting on my balcony, and I don't know what I was doing on my phone, and this text message comes in, and it says like, urgent, final notice. So of course, my heart sinks. Oh my God, urgent, what did I forget? What's going on? And it was a designer shoe sale. Okay, like, think about it. The big stores use this panic. The media uses the panic. Social media uses panic. Even clickbaiting. If anyone knows what clickbait is, it's making some topic that you're talking about. Podcasters do this. That's really scary, so that people like, oh my God, I have to watch this, right? Words like urgent, must watch, final this. Urgency, urgency, urgency. And urgency builds more urgency. And fear is very infectious, and it spreads through our collective, it spreads through our household. And we can even make this smaller and look at the interpersonal. When we are, maybe not loving our job or our career, or we're not loving even our own bodies. Okay, I did a lot of work with ending the war against food last month, and we approach everything fear-based. So if, oh my God, I have to lose weight now, or what? Or what, right? Everything is urgent right now. This is the answer. They create a problem, and then they give you the solution. And this is how the world is advertising. This is how they're getting your business. This is how they're getting your views. This is how they're getting your attention. And so what I see in my practice is so many people and clients coming in just freaked out about the state of the world and the chaos. And, I have people in my practice from every political viewpoint. You name it. And I still don't have to get involved in the fear-based BS around it, right? So whatever you believe, whatever your views are about the state of the world, you can approach them calmly. You can approach it without fear and still care. And I think that's a place where we get lost. If I don't act urgently and I don't respond with fear, then I'm not caring. Or if I don't respond with fear or react to the final sale or whatever, I'm going to lose out. And so once you become aware that this pattern is happening in your relationships, probably to some degree, in your business, in your career, but mostly this outside influence, then you can take a step back and say, no more. I want to be present. I don't want to necessarily hide from what's going on in the world, but I don't need to give my soul and get totally hijacked by fear. And I think right now it's coming at us from every direction. Every direction. And if you just think about, whatever news you watch, just now that you've heard this, just take a minute and watch it today or tonight with a new lens. Saying, okay, they're trying to hijack my nervous system. They're trying to make me scared and afraid. And once you know that, you're going to see everything in life change. Because when you witness it, the pattern stops. Once you see a pattern, it becomes a choice. It doesn't become a I must. If we take this into our relationships a little bit, fear also sort of steps in here too, because a lot of times we are in relationships where we don't speak up, or we don't want to rock the boat, or we don't want to speak up for our own needs. And why is that? Why don't we do that? Because somewhere there's a fear of losing the relationship, right? And I see this in my work every day. Every day. I think fear is an illusion, and I think that it is ruling the day. And I don't know that it's any different than it was thousands of years ago. We're just dealing with different issues, sort of, right? Sort of. Are the issues different? I don't know. They're just presented in a different way, and there's different context because 2026 is different than 1026, but the basic human condition hasn't changed much. And I want to teach anyone who's watching, I think you're here for a reason. This is resonating with you for some reason, and I want to train people to be unafraid, not caring, not turning a blind eye, but be present with yourself, with a problem, rather than freaking out and letting your nervous system get hijacked by external forces. And that's why my post yesterday said, reality is really, it starts in the inner world, right? Your thoughts, your belief systems, your emotions, which all are connected, your nervous system. Your inner world is basically being reflected to you by the exterior world, not the other way around. So we tend to think whatever's going on outside of us, whatever external circumstances are in our life, is why we are reacting the way we're reacting. And on some level, on a basic level, that's true, but we can't see things that we are not a vibration of, that we're not energetically producing on the inside. So for example, a lot of my clients have been in some pretty bad relationships with narcissistic people or unhealthy, toxic people, whatever you want to call it, and myself included. Okay, we've all been in those kind of relationships at one point or the other. And when we're inside those relationships, the reason that we stay in them is because this person is trying to dominate us or scare us out of having needs and desires and wants. And to maintain closeness in the relationship, we just stay and we don't speak up, right? And this is a personal dynamic, it's a collective dynamic. So I think learning how to witness it is, I think, where I'm going to begin. So I learned this from Eckhart Tolle, who's a very prolific writer and speaker. I highly encourage you to watch his stuff. And he talks about presence, real presence, in the moment presence, right? He wrote the book, The Power of Now. And, you know, you can listen to it, but it's really hard to embody it when you're activated, when things are going wrong in your life and you're hijacked by fear. Becoming present can be almost impossible. You know, fear is like a disease. Once it gets inside of you, it just keeps going. So if we believe with the idea that our inner world creates our reality rather than the other way around, which I firmly believe, then we can start saying, instead of how do I change and adjust the outside, we can think about how do I change and adjust the inside first. Safety, regulation first, and then change comes, right? So when you become the witness, basically, this is the way Eckhart Tolle talks about it. If you are aware of your own anxiety, okay, which most of us are, some of us aren't, but if we're aware of our own anxiety, who's witnessing the anxiety? So just stop and think about that for a minute. If we are having the anxiety, how can we also witness it? We can't. So he teaches that however you want to, term it, our true self, our soul, our inner being, our inner psyche, whatever you want to name, you want to slap on it, our subconscious. There's an awareness that is not inside the anxiety. Because if it were, we wouldn't see the anxiety. We wouldn't be able to witness it. So Eckhart Tolle always asks, who's that witness? When you start to digest this idea a little bit, you realize, oh yeah, I guess there's some truth to that. If I'm depressed, or I'm anxious, or I'm worried about something, who's witnessing that? Oh, interesting, right? He says it's the I, the self, that's separate from our state of being. So when we recognize that, hey, I'm feeling really anxious, who's recognizing the feelings of anxiety? And that is the inner self, the inner awareness. And once you can kind of side with your inner awareness instead of the emotion, you realize that, hey, you know what? I can witness this. I can step back and witness and view it without being sucked up in it. And this is the biggest life-changing experience if you can get there. And you can. Anybody can. If I can, you can. Anybody can. You just have to kind of slow down. And when you feel overwhelmed by a particular state of fear, anxiety, worry, thinking the world's going to end, whatever it is, if you can just slow it down for a second and say, wait a minute, who's witnessing the fear? You start to get to really know your inner self, your true self. And the true self, underneath all these states of fear and states of being, is the real self. The self that knows that it's safe, that knows it's okay. Now, I'm not suggesting that this means that we stop caring and we blow off all urgency, because of course in life there are certain moments in life where in crisis we need to respond, and that's why we have the nervous system, to keep us safe and to keep us grounded and to keep us going safely and to survive. But all of life isn't that way, and so many people are so hijacked by their own fear, and then having it reinforced and reinforced and reinforced by all these external collectives, i.e. TV news, social media, internet news, so on and so forth, that we get lost in the fear. We don't know who you are anymore, or who to believe, or what's going on. It's very confusing today. And that's why I feel so chaotic, not because it necessarily is chaotic. right? And that was an understanding I kind of came to when I was preparing for the show. I'm like, is the world really as chaotic as it feels? Or is that what the collective outlets, the media, etc., want me to feel? Like, who knows where reality really is? And ultimately, in that truth seeking and that understanding, you can gain some control over your life and realize that everything that's happening to you, no matter how small or no matter how large, has to consume all of yourself in fear. And this is the greatest awakening you can have. And so I really want to help people get there, because it's truly life-changing. And you might realize as you start waking up to this that you're calmer, things are going much easier in your life, you're not totally responding to everything all the time, you're not in a total reaction state all the time. I know for myself, I don't think I had any idea how much I was living in fear and reactivity until I woke up to it, because it feels normal, right? And people love to commiserate together. And if you know, it's just the human emotion and state of being, unfortunately, is very infectious. We have mirror neurons, and we absorb other people's energy and their emotions. So when you start to reclaim your sovereignty, you can do that by waking up that you're just the witness, you're not in it. And then little by little, as you continue to get a hold of yourself, you start to understand, okay, life isn't necessarily so dangerous. That's just what I'm being told and what I'm choosing to believe. And then that's what I'm having reflected back to me by what I'm choosing to watch. I stopped watching the news probably 2 years ago, and I have ways of keeping up on what's going on, but that was my first I would say that was the first way I started reclaiming myself, by just not watching it. And people say, oh, but don't you care about what's going on? Don't you know what's happening? How do you live? You know what? When I need to, I can do a quick scan and see what's happening. But my reality, my choice was, I really can't do anything that's going to help all these major crises in the world. Or let me reframe that. I don't have the power to externally go out and jump into all these crises and solve them and save all these problems. I need to save myself. And we change the world one nervous system at a time. That's how we change the world. With us. With caretaking for yourself and becoming more grounded in reality. And yesterday I was listening to a speech by Rebbe Schneerson. He was an amazing human being and leader in the Jewish community. And he's been deceased a while, but his writings live on. And I was watching a clip of him speaking yesterday. And basically what he was saying is that if you don't take care of you and your safety first, nothing you're ever going to do is going to be stable. It's going to be done in chaos and fear. So that grounding, that inner sovereignty, that understanding that I am not that, I am the witness to that, can really, really change your life. And the Rebbe said, in so many words, whether it's a land, a territory, or a human being, we must have that boundary. We must, peace, and I posted this last night, peace is not the absence of struggle. Peace is everything being in its proper place. mic drop, right? When things are organized in your life and you can understand that, okay, as one person, I mean, there are people who change the world in great ways, and if that's your true passion, oh my God, please go for it. But if it's not, then you have to understand that the best contribution you could make to bettering this world is reclaiming your own sovereignty, not being sucked in and hijacked by the news media and major media outlets and algorithms, and understanding your separateness and your sovereignty. That's how we start making this world a better place. It starts with us. And, you know, we've all heard it a million times. I think it's just not ever been explained properly. You know, when people say, take care of yourself. Don't forget to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, nobody else will, blah, blah, blah. Like, we've been hearing that for years, but do we really know what that means? Have we ever actually lived that? Probably not. So the more that we take care of ourselves and become sovereign within our inner world, then we really affect the bigger picture. Imagine if this whole world was made of individually sovereign, grounded, sane, calm people. We wouldn't have war. We wouldn't have all the tragedy that we do, all the fear mongering that we do, because it wouldn't activate us. We would be living our lives in a caring, aware, present, grounded place. And so my contribution, I hope, to making this world better is to teach people individual sovereignty, and to teach people that something I've had to live myself. I've had to walk this path. I'm not just reading about it. I lived it. I am living it. And the freedom and the beauty that comes into your life when you can be present with yourself instead of reacting to everything around you is incredible. And you'll start to see, you know what? Elizabeth was right. Everything is trying to scare me. Every advertisement, every headline, every sales pitch is, let's create a fear, a need. Let's create a fear or a need in the people, and then we'll give them the answer. So they have to watch us, they have to follow us, they have to buy from us, they have to subscribe to us, so on and so on and so forth. So remember, you have a nervous system biologically that wants to survive. And it's built to be an internal warning system. And the larger world, the larger collective, and the powers that be know this. They know this. So we want to wake up and understand what's happening. And that we're trying to be controlled by fear. People creating fear in our lives. So we want to understand how to step out of it, how to separate ourselves from being in it to witnessing, and then reclaiming our sovereignty. And this is the most radically shifting offering I could share with people. And I want to hear about it. I want to hear about your experiences. And write me, share with me, work with me. And I'm not scaring anybody into working with me, just so you know. I invite you to do your own one-on-one work, because I believe that that is how we become sovereign and free. The absence of fear is freedom. And when you start to realize how everything on the outside is purposely trying to scare you, and you play into it, you're operating on a system of lack. Oh my God, there's not enough. Oh my God, there's not enough money. Oh my God, there's not enough time. Oh my God, there's not enough this, that, the other, and you will go into panic mode. And that's how you'll live your life until you learn to step back and be the witness and understand that intrinsically you are safe. You are an important part of existence and creation, And you, by right of birth, deserve freedom and safety and having your basic needs met, and you can do it. So if you're out there watching and you want to learn how to live in a calmer state of being, if you want to learn how to anchor yourself, ground yourself in a chaotic world, I've walked it, I've lived it, I'm teaching it, and I'm sharing it. And I love doing so. I love doing so. I offer one-on-one therapy work. And as I said earlier, people, you can come to therapy for any reason. You can come just because you just want to start getting to know yourself better. You can come because there's some crisis in your life and you need help stabilizing. A combination of the two. Or, a lot of my clients are just, wonderful people living in the world, and they appreciate being kind of seen, heard, and reflected back through our sessions, because over time they start living that calm, grounded, peaceful life, and then they don't need me anymore. So that's the gifts that I bring. And everybody's journey is different in therapy. Some people say, well, how long do I have to go to therapy? I have no idea. I really don't. You could be in therapy forever if you wanted, not because there's a constant crisis, but because you enjoy growing. And maybe you don't know how to do it on your own, or you don't want to. I'm always reading, watching, observing, thinking, creating different ways of teaching people and helping people. So I'm a resource. I'm a 17-year vet of the mental health business. And so, if there's a therapist out there that tells you, oh, you only need this, or you only need that, or you need 20 years in therapy, or you need, red flag. Nobody really knows. It depends what's going on in your life, and it depends what your needs are. It depends how much you're willing to put into it. If you're going through a major crisis, which I do meet most people in crisis, when the shit's hitting the fan in their life, is usually when I meet people. But you don't necessarily have to be going through a crisis. You could just be going through hey, I want to learn more. I want to learn how to regulate myself more. I want to live a better life. I want to feel safer in my own body. I want to have more success in all areas of your life, because everything in life stems from mental health. And don't let anybody fool you about this. If your head isn't right, if your psychology and your mind is not right, and your emotions are not right, you will not be productive in your life, not the way you want to be. And it's a shame that mental health sometimes gets stigmatized or pushed away. And I work with some of the most incredible, driven, sensitive human beings who, don't necessarily have anything wrong, right? They have patterns that they want to change. They have things they want to learn. They have peace. They're searching for peace and freedom and love, which is, I think, what we're all searching for. So I'm here as your guide. If you want to do some one-on-one work, all you have to do is contact me through social media, and my phone number's on my accounts. My website, I'm changing it again, so it's not up right now, but it'll be up soon. But I'm trying to keep it simple. So if this information works for you and you feel like, oh yeah, okay, this is cool, keep watching Saturday mornings at 11, or give me a call or message me and we can set something up. You can do one session, or I offer packages, and I also offer intensives for people who really want to jump into maybe addiction recovery work, or a deep couples work, grief work. I do grief, addiction, trauma, and I design my own intensives, which are, I'd say 4 to 12 week intense programs where we meet multiple times a week for a bigger, deeper experience of change. Most of my clients come once a week. Some of them come every 2 weeks, and some come once a month. You know, we work with whatever, I work with whatever my clients bring to the table and what's comfortable for them to some degree, of course. And so that's my speech for today, okay? Calming the nervous system, stepping out of the fear-based psychology that every large, powerful outlet in this world is trying to use against us to control. And I don't say this in a conspiracy theory way. I just say this in, you know, they know what works and they use it to their advantage. So you just have to wake up to it. You don't have to stop it. You just have to wake up to it within yourself and reclaim your inner sovereignty and your inner freedom. And with that, I bid you a beautiful weekend and an awesome week. And please, if you haven't already, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. There's so much great free content. And until next Saturday at 11, I'll see you then. Love you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.